Hey, shalom everyone. Amanda here, and welcome back to the podcast. So I have time today to go ahead and record and publish the very important word that I wanted to share today. So I actually did an extra word earlier that I wasn't planning on doing, and that episode had to do with me answering some questions surrounding the topic of wedding rings and things like that. So I went ahead and recorded that while I had some time, and then I was planning and hoping to be able to jump back on later on today to share the word that I had planned to share for today. And praise I was able to carve out some time to do that. So here we are with this episode. This is going to be a bit of a heavy word. Not heavy in the sense of that it's, negative or anything like that, but heavy in the sense of it's I think a topic or issue that is going on with many right now. It kind of ties in with a lot of the things that I have said in recent episodes, and all in all, I pray that this word encourages whoever hears this. And I know that it even is something that I need to be reminded of, especially in the season that I'm in right now and the stuff that I'm enduring. So this is going to be one of those episodes where I can't promise if, that I won't get emotional and that there won't be any tears. This may be an episode that may have tears. I apologize in advance if that's something that you would rather not have to hear, or, it seems lately that a couple of my episodes have had tears in them. As a matter of fact, one is called Hope and Tears. And, it's just been a really tough season, and, I really didn't want to show like a lot of emotion in any of my episodes. And I was like, you know what, this is a ministry. This is me, pouring out my heart and me pouring into others what Yah has poured into me. So sometimes there's going to be tears. That's just how it goes. And you know what? Because I was talking about this with, a good friend of mine, and I was like, I don't know if that's good for me to show that, because I'm counseling people, like, is it good that I'm transparent with the issues that I have going on and things like that? And she was like, yeah, of course. I mean, you're human too. You have a life, you're going through things. It's good to be honest with your listeners or your followers. I don't like to say followers, but your listeners. And even counselors and therapists need counselors and therapists, and it's so true. I mean, it's so true. And, that's one thing that I have to say. And I'm so thankful that Yah brought me to that, and I was talking about this in an episode that I did. I think it was Holding on to Hope was the name of the episode, where I was talking about how it's amazing because Yahuwah does not waste our pain, right? He uses our pain for purpose. And I was talking about how it's incredible, and it still amazes me to this day that Yahuwah brought me into a ministry and to counsel people in the area where I struggled the most and where I was broken the most. It's like Yah took all of that and turned it into purpose. He took my pain and he turned it into purpose. Praise Yahuwah. Not only so that I can, apply it to my own family and things like that, right? But also to help others in that same area. And I think that's just incredibly beautiful, and it's just amazing to me. And I've seen that with many other people. There's someone that I'm friends with on Facebook. I don't know him personally, but somehow we became friends, and he has a beautiful testimony too, because this person, he struggled with addiction. He had like drug addiction, alcohol addiction, and things like that. And he had to go through the process of getting better. He went through a program and things like that, had people counsel him and just to help him, get to where he is today, to break the addiction, to get healthy, get back on track. And today he is now doing the same thing, the same help that he received when he was going through his brokenness and his pain and all those things. Yah took that and now used it for his purpose, because now that man is now helping people who were like him, and I think that's incredible to be able to do something like that, and that's what I see Yah doing in my life and the lives of many others. That's why I was saying too recently that, it's not really so much degrees or a higher education or anything like that qualifies us for the purposes Yah has for us. He's the one that qualifies for us. And oftentimes I've noticed that our testimonies and our purposes come out from our pain. It's like the area that we were broken the most is where Yah is able to use us. And that's like such an incredible thing that he does. I just think that that's so beautiful, and I'm so thankful for that. So, but yeah, I was telling my friend, I said, I don't know if that's good, because then are people really going to want me to counsel them? Are they going to think I'm stable enough, And she was like, sis, you have a ton of knowledge and you have helped quite a bit of people already, and sometimes that's just how it is too. Like, we can help other people, but sometimes we can't really help ourselves. But I think that's because we need to turn to Yah to help. I mean, we all need to turn to the Father to help us, but Yah can use other people to help us. There are various ways that we can get help. And so I find like people who counsel, and I don't just say this because this is what I do. I find people that counsel and are therapists or whatever in that same field. I find that very honoring. I think that's really wonderful, especially those that have a faith-based practice or a faith-based approach. I think that's really awesome, because especially in today's world, so many people need that help. So many people, and what's sad is that many people feel ashamed that they need help, that they need mental health support, or that they need to talk to somebody in order to get through something. And I've even had people ask me, people who are believers, but if I do that, if I seek counseling, does that mean I don't trust in Yah? No, it doesn't mean that at all. It just means that this is another tool that's going to help you, and there's nothing wrong with that, and there's no shame in it. Nobody should be embarrassed. Nobody should feel ashamed, or anything like that. I think that it's wonderful that we have people out there. And again, like I said in my other episode, I don't knock higher education. Some people are called to do that. And sometimes the fields that they go into, or the things that Yah calls them to, may in fact require that, because even though Yah qualifies us, but we do live in a society where there are certain laws that unfortunately we have to go by as well. So in order for us to do these certain things, we have to do that as well. So, but I find it to be such an honorable profession and calling. Some people do it as a profession, and some people do it as a calling, as a ministry, or they can combine both of them. And I think that's just an incredible thing to have. And I'm so thankful that Yah, took my pain and used it for my purpose. And I'm seeing him do that with many others as well. And those are incredible testimonies. And it's an incredible feeling when we can help people in the areas where we were once, or maybe even still, broken. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But anyways, before I jump into today's topic, I wanted to also say this, because it kind of goes in alignment with what I'm going to talk about. But I shared 2 songs on my Facebook page. They are by good friends, Lyndon and Ruth Mitchell. They have a music ministry called Left and Right Ministries. They are husband and wife. They are incredible individuals that have been so gifted by Yah with their music abilities. And their songs are just incredible. I listen to their music daily. It helps me so much. And I share 2 songs because I feel that it's fitting for this season of my life, and just a lot of trials that people are enduring right now, and it kind of goes along with this word. So one of the songs is called I Will Believe, and the other one is called Brought Near. And so if you want to check this out, you can either go directly to YouTube and look for Left and Right Ministries, or you can head to my Facebook page. I've just shared them right before I came on to record this word. You can check them out there. If you're interested in doing that, or would like to connect with me on Facebook, please look me up under Amanda Yasharel, so Yasharel. And you should be able to find me. I don't think there's too many with that name. At least I don't think. If you're having trouble finding me, please email me and let me know. And maybe you can let me know what your name is on Facebook and I can look you up and we can get connected. So, yeah, and that was something that I wasn't expecting. I honestly wanted to keep my Facebook deactivated, and just led me to completely different things. So a lot of things that I thought were going to happen or were going to happen a certain way. And I was like, nope, I have other plans. So that's been happening a lot lately. So anyways, I wanted to share that with you because those two songs are absolutely beautiful. The husband, Lyndon, plays the acoustic guitar, and the wife, Ruth, plays the violin, which are both my favorite instruments. And they just really make beautiful music together. And they are an incredible example of when Yah brings two people together for a purpose. Like, honestly, that is just such an incredible example. Like, that's what I'm talking about, that when Yah brings two people together, it's for a purpose. Their purposes, their callings go hand in hand with each other. So that's like a really beautiful portrait of a marriage that was ordained by Yah. Let's just put it that way. So anyways, I just wanted to share that, and now I want to go ahead and jump into today's word. So again, can't promise there won't be any tears, can't promise I won't get emotional, because this is just really heavy and it touches me personally because of just things that I am currently walking through in this season. But it's also, a combination of what I see so much going on right now, so much of what is going on right now, just the emails that I get, the reasons why people come to me for counsel, and a lot of us are just in seasons of waiting. And I mentioned this just recently, but I'm going to talk more about this. So, all right, let's go ahead and jump right in. So this is going to be called Wait in Hope, or Waiting in Hope, learning to let go, or being able to let go, and trusting in Yah. So how many of us right now are in a season of waiting? I think a lot of us are. And we're all waiting for different things, right? There's so many different things. As a matter of fact, the very first episode of this season, titled The Timing and Seasons of Yahuwah. If you haven't listened to that episode yet, I would highly, highly encourage you to do so, because this word is going to tie in with that one. And I actually mentioned this in that episode as well. And, somebody told me that the audio to that episode was quite low and the background music was louder. I am so sorry, y'all. Number one, I'm not tech savvy. I'm learning to be, and I'm trying to do different background music. I've realized it's almost been a year. I've used a lot of the same background music, and I just wanted to kind of change it up a bit and use something different. And I think that the background music I chose for that episode was the audio for some reason was louder. And so I'm very sorry about that. And I can't go back and fix it without somehow probably deleting it, just because I don't know what I'm doing. So I am so sorry about that, but hopefully, use headphones if you can, but hopefully y'all can hear it well. But that is an excellent episode, and I would highly encourage, if you are enduring a season of waiting, or just have questions and things like that, that is an incredible episode to listen to. And it even really I encouraged myself by giving that word and recording that episode, because it was just an incredible reminder of what I needed, because I, along with so many people, are in a season of waiting, and it's all for different things, And the thing about the seasons of waiting is that they can be painful. They can be painful, because if you're waiting for something specific, and then you're watching that same thing that you're waiting for happen to everybody else around you, you're just like, what's going on? Did I mess up? Am I being punished? Did Yah forget me? This is torture. Why am I watching it happen to everybody else except me? And then what happens is a lot of people fall into various emotions. Some people fall into depression. Some people fall into jealousy. Some people fall into bitterness. Some people fall into just straight up sadness and confusion, and then it causes them to question the Father and question their relationship. And that's something that the enemy is hoping will happen, because all he needs is just a little leeway to get in and to try to sow seeds of doubt and discouragement and all those kinds of things. So unfortunately, these negative emotions, if we let it, they can grow and fester and turn into something much bigger, and it can consume us, So seasons of waiting are very, very difficult. And again, if I have any sisters listen, brothers maybe could read it too, I don't know, but I highly encourage the book, The Hannah Anointing. I had read from this book in the episode, The Timing and Seasons of Yahuwah. That book has helped me tremendously. Like, I've read it, I think 4 times over in the past 3 years, and it has helped me so much with understanding, the waiting season and just how to handle it, because I know firsthand as well how that can be, how hard that can be when it seems like everybody else is progressing and moving forward and you're still stuck and you're still waiting on that one thing you've been praying for years and years or months, or whatever that it may be, or you feel like it's even happening to people that I don't want to say don't deserve it, but like, I don't know, just, you know what I mean? Like, we've all had those thoughts. Let's just be honest, right? We've all had those thoughts. And so I've been there. I've been there where I don't understand why Yah is allowing certain things to happen. I've been there when, I have been praying and I have done fasts and I have, been obedient, and I've asked people to pray, for me or for whatever that it is, and all of these kinds of things. And, and then there's nothing, and there's so many different reasons as to why we have to be in these seasons of waiting, or why it seems like Yah's not answering our prayers, or all of these kinds of things. And I think one of the even harder things about these seasons of waiting is that we have to learn how to let go and trust it with Yah, whatever that it is. I've heard it from many people, and I've walked through some of these things as well. I've had people, come to me and say, I've been praying for this career or ministry opportunity, or for this, what's the word here? I just lost it. For promotions or things like that. And I'm watching it happen to everybody around me except me. And I'm praying and nothing. This is where we have to let that desire go and trust it with Yah. I've had people come to me and say, I've been praying and I've been waiting to step into my marriage, and it's not happening. And I'm watching everybody around me get married, and here I still am. This is another example of needing to let it go and trusting Yah with it. I've had people come to me and say, I've been trying to get pregnant, and all of these kinds of things. It's not happening, and I'm watching everybody around me getting pregnant, and it's not happening for me. This is another example of letting it go and trusting in Yah. I've had people come to me and say, I've been praying to go into a home, or to just, move from where I'm at, and just to kind of be in a better situation, and yet nothing's happened, and I'm watching people all around me buying homes and this and that and cars and, all of these things. And I just don't understand, This is where we have to, once again, let it go and trust Yah on it. Why do bad things happen? Why do sad things happen? Why do, all of these things, right? I've heard it all. I've seen it all. And I've experienced some of these things myself, to where you literally feel like you've been forgotten. And I know how that feels. Believe me, I know how it feels. I have been in seasons of my life where I feel like it was happening for everybody around me except me. And I just couldn't understand it. I really just couldn't understand it. What I can tell you was one of the first things that Yah did with my process was that the first thing he wanted to do was he wanted to teach me how to put aside my own wants, my needs, and my desires, and to learn to pray for others. And that was such a humbling experience. And let me tell you something, the way that the way that Yah did that was totally unexpected. And I actually shared this experience in an episode called When Trials Turn In, or When Trials Become Testimonies, I think is what I said. I'm sorry. I come up with my own titles, but there's so many episodes that I forget most of them, especially if it's a long title. But I shared this in that episode, and that's why I shared it, because that was the very first time I had experienced as a believer to put aside my own struggles, worries, and whatever I was experiencing in that season, and to pray for somebody else. And it was just incredible how that happened, because the person that I ended up praying so fervently for, and I still do to this day, I still pray for this person. It's been like that was in 2018, almost 4 years ago. And I still wonder about this person and still pray for this person, because Yah had put this person so heavy on my heart and in my spirit. And that was the first time that I, as a believer, had ever experienced something like that. I've never had the experience of the Father highlighting somebody to me that I barely knew. And then on top of that, it was the opposite sex. It wasn't even for another sister. It was for a brother, it was for a male. And just everything that Yah showed me concerning this person, and how he highlighted this person to me, and how I ended up praying for this person. It wasn't just like, Father, I pray for this person. I pray they're okay and whatever. And then that was it. No, these were like heartfelt, emotional prayers that I didn't even know where they were coming from. And I was just like, what's going on? It was crazy. If I had known this person personally for a long time, or like if this person had come to me and shared everything that was going on in their life, that's how I was praying for this person. And that was the very first time I had ever experienced something like that. And I needed that experience. And I truly believe that's why Yah allowed it to happen, because I needed that. It showed me to try to put aside, because let me tell you something, during that time, I was still having a lot of challenges in my life. And in fact, what made it even harder was the fact that same person I was praying for fired me, to the point to where now I was back in struggles. Now I have no job. Now I have no way to pay, my rent, my bills, support my child. And, it was just kind of one of those things where it was even harder, because not only did Yah, show me how to put aside my own things going on and to pray for somebody else fervently, without ceasing. But on top of that, this person had done something to cause even more struggle in my life. You know what I mean? And yet I still continued to pray for this person. So if you want to hear more about that, you can check that episode out. It's called When Trials Become Testimonies. And I just kind of share my whole experience there, how I met this person, how the whole thing came about. Yeah. So if you want to hear that, go ahead and check that out. But anyways, that was one of the first things that Yah needed to teach me, was to really humble myself before him and to really set aside my own things. And it's not that I was being selfish or anything like that. It's just I was so caught up in my problems and in my own life that, how can I serve others if I'm so caught up in my own life? How can I be in a ministry if I'm so caught up in my own problems in life? So Yah had to teach me that first. Then he had to teach me how to let go and trust him. I kept hearing him say to me, do you trust me? Do you trust me? Do you trust me with your life? Do you trust me with your marriage? Do you trust me with your husband? Do you trust me with your child and your children to come? Do you trust me with your purpose? Do you trust me with your pain? Do you trust me with everything that has ever had to do with you? And brothers and sisters, I wanted so much to trust him because he's my father. I love him. He's everything to me. And I'm like, yes, of course I want to trust you. But my flesh is making it really hard to do that. Because as humans and in our flesh, we want to have control over things. That's how we can more or less be able to reassure ourselves that we've got this under control. A lot of us are afraid to let go because we want to be in control instead of letting somebody else be in control, which I can understand why. Majority of us have been burned by people. We've been hurt by people. We don't want to trust our lives and our outcomes and things like that with, in the hands of man. But here's the thing, you're not supposed to. We're supposed to put our lives and our trust in Him, the one that created us, the one that knows all, the one that has our best interest at heart. That's who we're supposed to trust. And He's asking us to trust Him. He's not asking us to put our trust or our lives in the hands of others. Because the sad reality is that we can't trust other people. I personally, in my own personal life, I've come to the realization I can't even trust loved ones or family members, unfortunately. And that was heartbreaking and very hard for me to accept, to realize and accept. Because I've been through a lot of hurt. I've been through a lot of trauma. I've been through a lot of hurt in my life. I've had a lot of, heartbreaking things occur. I've had a lot of issues happen where I thought I could trust people and I couldn't. I've been turned away. I've been rejected a lot. I mean, believe me, I've been through it. And I know that there are many of you out there that have too. Different levels, different severities, different issues, different topics. I get it. Believe me. That's why I was saying earlier, I really honor and just really appreciate and respect people who counsel, or offer therapy. I mean, so many people need it. Yes, we should always go back to Yah in prayer, and that should always be our first thing that we should do. But those people that are willing to sit there and try to help people figure out, and find healing and things like that, that's an incredible thing. And that's why I'm also so thankful that Yah's brought me into the ministry that He has and the opportunity to be able to help other people. And believe me, for a while, I kept saying to myself, I can't help other people. How can I help other people when I can't even help myself? And you know what? That was a lie. That was a lie from the enemy. And that was another thing that I had to learn. And it tied in with trusting the Father. Was I going to trust Him for everything? Or was I going to constantly worry? Listen, I'm someone that I dealt with anxiety. I used to have severe anxiety attacks. Before I moved to Colorado, I had severe anxiety attacks. As a matter of fact, it's one of the reasons why I moved. Because my family was out here, and I thought that being close to my family was going to help. It did for a period of time, and then after that, it just made things worse. But, I struggled with all of that. And it helped me to understand, and I knew, what was the missing factor here? What was the problem? The problem was that I wasn't trusting in Yahuwah. I wasn't trusting in the Father with my life and with the things that He was going to bring into my life, with the way that He was going to do things. Brothers and sisters, we have to let go. And I've said this too, and this is a process that I myself went through. When we have desires in our heart, we have to pray and ask the Father if the desires we have in our heart align with His desires for us. Are they His desires? Are those desires in our hearts? Because remember, we have to be careful with the heart, right? I just talked about this recently. We have to be careful with our hearts. Our hearts can mislead us. So what's in our heart? Is it there because Yah placed it there, or did we put it there? Is our desires in alignment with His desires for our life? That's the first thing. And if they are, right, when you've confirmed that they are, you have to let go of them in terms of, don't idolize them. Don't make them an idol, because that's sinful. Don't be so stuck on it that it consumes you, or get to the point that you've got all of this false hope going on because you're so consumed by it. You're so stuck on it. You know what I mean? We have to learn to let these things go. I know how hard it is, and I know how painful it is. Right now, Yah is asking me, this is where I might get emotional. Right now, Yah is asking me to let go of something that is one of the most important things in my life. And I really don't want to, because I feel like it's too soon. I feel like, and here's the thing, at some point, it's kind of like a parent with their child, right? We know that there comes a point where our children reach a certain age and we have to let them go into the world. And that's hard too, because as a parent, you love your children more than anything, and you want the best for them. And you hope that what you did was enough. Because we know that we can only go so far. And we know that ultimately they belong to Yah. Yah entrusts us with these children. One of my biggest fears is losing my children to this world. Or the world consuming my children. And so when it comes time to let go, it's really hard. Because they'll always be your babies, you know. And when we hear about how bad the world is, you don't want to let them go. I love children so much, but sometimes I wonder, is there any point in bringing any more children into this world? But we know that Yah has a purpose for each life that He gives, you know. But there's going to come a point where we have to let go. We have to let go. And then I can only imagine how hard it must be for our Father in heaven when He looks down and sees all of the things going on this earth, and when one of us is hurting or crying or suffering or whatever. It's me with my son, and sometimes I'm like, this is the hardest thing I've ever done, is be a parent, especially to a teenager. This is the hardest thing I've ever done. And maybe some of you might be able to relate or resonate. You know, I don't know how many of you listening have children, and if you do, if you have any teens, or if you've got littles or babies or what, but I wish that we can keep them little forever, you know, because we can keep them under our wing, but we have to remember that, you know, Yah protects them and Yah looks after them. We need to continue to always pray for our children. Boy, it's just hard, you know, and that's the best example that I can give, you know. And I give that example because I know how hard. I know you're probably saying, Amanda, but it's hard to let go. It's hard. I know it's hard to let go, y'all. I know it is. Believe me, I've had to surrender. I've had to surrender quite a bit to Yah, and trusting Him with it, and still waiting. It's the hardest things, but you know, it's like what James says in the scriptures, that when we do that, when we're in waiting or going through trials, that we can grow in perseverance, right? And then we can deepen our relationship and our faith walk with Yah, which means our trust then grows more. Now, I do know that there is scripture that says that hope deferred makes the heart sick. And so I can understand that as well with people who have reached that point, because I've been there a few times as well. But then after that it says, but how does it go? Goodness, I forgot. Oh my. I'm trying to get better at memorizing scriptures. I'm so sorry. I think it then says, but a tree of life, or oh goodness, I can't remember. I'm so sorry, y'all. And I didn't bring my Bible with me. I'm so sorry. And I usually have it with me. Actually, it's kind of strange that I didn't bring it with me. Anyways, y'all can look at it for yourselves. But I understand what it's like to have hope deferred for something that you've been waiting on for so long, and it just hasn't happened. And you're watching it happen all around you, except to you. And brothers, sisters, you know, like I said, there's so many reasons why we're all in times of waiting for different things. You know, there's a lot of factors to it, you know, and it just really depends, like, on what you're waiting for, you know. So for example, like if you're waiting to step into your marriage, I was just saying this yesterday when I did, was it yesterday or the day before? When I did the episode on, you know, being promised, you know, the truth about engagement. And I was saying that, you know, for some people, it seems like a delay, but it's not a delay. It's that maybe, you know, one of the spouses needs healing, or the other spouse needs to tie up loose ends from their past, or maybe the other spouse is, you know, getting to where they need to get to in their career, so that then they can turn around and provide for their, you know, their spouse and their family, you know, the upcoming things that Yah has. There's so many different reasons, y'all. Sometimes it's due to our own our own choices. Sometimes we're in sin, we're in active sin. Yah can't bless us when we're walking in sin. There's so many different things. Like if I had a brother come to me and say, man, I've been praying for my wife, and a step in my marriage, but it's just not happening. I feel like, the Father's not answering, and I've been waiting for a long time. But then I come to find out that this same man is going around and dating, frivolously and sleeping with these people. I would tell him, brother, that's why. Yah's waiting for you to stop committing this sexual sin, to repent, realign yourself back with him, and then he can bless you in his perfect timing. But Yah can't bless us while we're in active sin. Also, Yah cannot bring the things that he has for us, that he has planned for us, your marriage, your family, your career, whatever, while you're in a counterfeit relationship or situation. So if you're praying for the ministry, the career that Yah wants you to be in, but yet you're in a job or you're doing something that you're not supposed to be in, more than likely Yah's waiting for you to get out of that job. But you're scared to get out of that job because you're like, well, if I leave this job, I'm not going to have an income. You got to step out in faith. Oftentimes, Yah's waiting for us. Or if you're praying and you're like, man, where is this person Yah has for me? Why is this happening? But yet you're seeking out people, you're dating people, you're sleeping with them, you're doing all of these, things that we know are an abomination to Yah and it's not right. Well, how can Yah get you ready for your marriage and for the person you're supposed to be with if you're out doing other things? You've got to humble yourself to him. You've got to surrender yourself to him, surrender your desires, surrender everything to him, and let him work in you and through you so that he can get you to where you need to be, so that he can then bring the things that you're either A, praying about, or B, that he has planned for you, or all of the above. But he can't do that when we're not surrendering ourselves to him and letting go of these desires. He can't do that. He can't move forward. He's waiting on you. He's waiting on us. I even talked about, this was a word for men, where often a lot of men that are in these wrong relationships, they're stuck. They feel like they're stuck, like their life is literally stuck, like they can't move forward. And they try to fill that void by, trying to find the right job, the right career path, or they turn to drinking, or they turn to, they start doing all these things because they're trying to figure out, why is my life stuck? Why am I miserable? And it's like, it's because of the person you have next to you. It's the person you've involved yourself with. In order to move forward in your purpose and in your calling, if you are called to marriage, you need to have the right person by your side. Because remember, like I said, your callings go hand in hand. You see what I mean? I'll give you a good example. I'll use my friends, Lyndon and Ruth, because I just mentioned them earlier at the beginning of this episode. And I was talking about their purpose, and it's clear the calling and purpose that Yah had for them and why they came together as husband and wife. If one of them had married somebody else, they wouldn't have that music ministry. They wouldn't have been able to do what they're doing now because they were with the wrong person. And here's the thing, is that when you're with the wrong person, that, you can't move any further from there. You really, really can't, because you're with somebody that you're not meant to be with. This person cannot help you with your calling because they're not meant to. Does that make sense? So for example, if you take my friends, Lyndon and Ruth, that they have this beautiful music ministry, they wouldn't have been able to do that with anybody else. They could have tried, and I don't think it would have been anywhere close to what they have going on now. Just to give an example, So it also kind of answers, for those that have been praying about going, stepping into ministry or stepping into that purpose, that calling. Same thing. Or sometimes we think that we have it right, like, oh, it's this ministry. I thought I was going to go into children's ministry. I thought that was going to be my ministry. And I tried it, and every time I tried it, Yah closed the door. And I was like, but I love kids. I thought this is what you wanted me to do. Why do you keep closing the door? Because that's not the ministry he had for me. My ministry was marriage and family. So it has to do with kids, but it more focused on marriage. So sometimes just because something's good, we think, oh, this is it, because, no, that's why I say we have to take everything back and confirm it with him, and praise Yah that he'll do that, because sometimes he'll let us go off and do what we think is right, and then, it's not. Or sometimes he'll prevent us going through that, So I'm so thankful for that, because I'd rather him prevent me. Like, I'd rather him close the door and me not go through any discomfort or any kind of trial, you know what I mean? Versus letting me do it, because he's testing me to see if I'm going to confirm it with him or not, and then I make a mistake and now I'm back at square one, So same thing. With children, with getting pregnant, Yahuwah has a distinct plan, and the thing is that sometimes, it's something we really want, it's something we really desire, it's something we feel we're ready for, but Yah's timing is perfect, There's a timing and season for everything, which means there's a timing and a season for a child to be conceived and to be born, and it's all for his purpose. So even though if you've been trying and you're like, man, what's going on? Why can't I get pregnant? This is breaking my heart. I really want children. Read the story of Hannah. For those of you that are walking through this right now, read the story of Hannah in 1 Samuel. Start at the very beginning, and you will see how Yah worked in her life, in the purpose, because this woman went years. She was barren for years. And her husband, unfortunately, had a second wife, and this woman was popping out babies left and right. And Hannah wasn't having any. And especially back in those times, that was like a huge thing. If a woman couldn't have, if she couldn't bear children, that was like disgrace, This woman was heartbroken and absolutely just devastated. And she felt like nobody understood her, and she would pray and pray and pray. She was constantly, tormented and taunted by, her husband's other wife. Like, she would throw it back in her face. I mean, this woman went through a lot, but she remained steadfast in her faith. She continued to pray and pray and pray. And then she made a promise to Yah. She was like, if you bless me with a child, I will dedicate that child to you. And she had faith, and she stood on that faith. And in the right timing, remember, the timing and seasons of Yah. In the right timing, Yah answered her prayer. She became pregnant, and she gave birth to Samuel, one of the greatest prophets ever to be known and ever to have lived. This prophet helped the Israelites come back to Yah. He also anointed David. That was the whole purpose of why she had him when she did. It was painful for her to wait all that time. The scriptures don't say exactly how long Hannah waited. And then you know what happened afterwards? Because she dedicated her son. She gave Samuel back to Yah by dedicating him and committing him to the temple, to be at the temple. So she ended up giving him back, essentially. So now he was no longer even in her home. And this happened after he was weaned, so about 3 years old, okay? But you know what Yah did? Because she trusted in him. She ended up giving birth, I think, to 3 daughters and 2 sons. She had 5 or 6 more children after that, after all those years being barren. So for those of you who are struggling with that in particular, that's your waiting season, read the story of Hannah. Read the story of Hannah. There's so many of us that we're in seasons of waiting. We're not quite understanding why things are happening the way they are, why it's taking so long. We also have to remember too that Yah's timing is different from ours. There's somewhere, I think it's Peter that says it, that to Yahuwah 1,000 years is like a day or something like that, or a day is 1,000 years, or I can't remember how it goes exactly. But the thing is that Yah's timing is different from ours. It's very, very different from ours. And so sometimes, we feel it's taking so long, but it's right on time with Yah. There's something else too. I remember I did a study, and the Holy Spirit had led me to do the study, and it was incredible. But he ended up highlighting to me certain people in the Bible that waited years to step into their calling or to their promises, but they still stepped into it. It's not always going to happen the way we would like it to, or the way that we feel, when it should happen. And I had to get to the point too where I was like, okay, yeah, if you give me my marriage, I dedicate it to you. You give me more children, I dedicate them to you. You give me a ministry, I dedicate it back to you. So that was a lot of my process. Yah had to show me and teach me a lot of things for me to have the right understanding, the proper understanding. Because here's the thing too. This is how the Father sees it. If He gives us these promises or these desires ahead of time, like early, to where we're not ready for it yet, we can misuse them. So for example, if we were to step into the ministry that Yah has, right? Like if you step into a ministry that Yah has called you to, but it's not time yet, but because you're so impatient, you're like, I want it now. I want it now. I want to, I just want to step into it. I'm tired of waiting, Father. And then He's like, okay, all right. You want to step in your ministry? Here you go. So you step in unprepared ahead of time. And what happens? Quite a bit can happen. If you're not prepared, right? It's like going into battle without weapons and protections, like I was talking about the other day. A lot can go wrong. A lot can go wrong. And before you know it, you're like, man, I can't do this. I can't do this. This is happening and this is happening. And I don't understand this and that. And Yah's going to be like, this is why I wasn't bringing your ministry to you yet, because you weren't ready. When it comes to marriage, for those of you still waiting on marriage, if you're like, yeah, please, I'm tired of being alone. I'm tired of being single. I just want to be loved. I just want to spend my life with somebody. And, get it. Totally legit reasons. Okay. I totally get that. As long as they're not selfish reasons, I understand why people would feel that way. Okay. Then Yah goes, all right, you want to step into your marriage? Here you go. You step into your marriage, everything goes wrong because you weren't ready for it. You got to understand that when you step into a marriage, you're stepping into a marriage with somebody else. You're stepping into marriage with another individual. And as I've explained so much throughout my ministry, because again, this is a marriage ministry, this is what I focus on, is that Yah brings the two of you together for your callings, your purposes. They go hand in hand, but also because you were made to help that person. You were made for that person. So I've often said, sisters, you are your husband's helper. You are going to be able to support that man in the calling that Yahuwah gave your husband. No other woman will be able to support him because you're the one that Yah called and ordained and gave you the specific role and assignment to help that man, not another woman. But if you yourself are not ready to support your man or to support the trials he's going to go through, how are you going to be able to be there for him? How are you going to be able to support him if you're not ready? So then what does that do is it causes issues in your marriage. Same thing with men. If you don't know what your calling is, if you're not right with Yah, if you're not on track, if you're not focused, how are you going to be able to be the provider that your wife needs? How are you going to be able to be the protector that your wife needs? How are you going to be able to be the father that your children, whether you've already had children or the children you're going to have from that union, how are you going to be the father they need? How are you going to be able to lead your household to Yahuwah? How are you going to be able to teach them the word? How are you going to wash them with the water of the word if you yourself are not ready yet? Because if Yah lets us go into these marriages, whether you're male or female, if Yah lets you go into your marriage unprepared, ahead of time, ahead of the season, you're going to have a marriage that's going to break down. If you have a baby ahead of time and you're not prepared, a lot can go wrong. Or you might not lead that child in the way that they should go because you yourself aren't there yet. You understand what I'm saying? Like these children that Yah gives us in these marriages, okay, it's to raise up these arrows, right? To be mighty warriors, okay, for Yahuwah. Because you don't know what each child's calling is going to be. You don't know why Yah is giving you this child in the first place. But if you yourself are not ready there, you're not there yet, you can't give that child the foundation that they need, which the foundation should be the word of Yah and Yahuwah himself. Look at what happened when I had, and my son is everything to me. But when I had my son, I wasn't even a believer yet. Thankfully, Yah turned things around and I was able to provide that, but it still wasn't ideal. Brothers and sisters, there's a reason why Yah does things the way he does, and the timings and the seasons and the way that he does things. There's a reason for all of that. And I know it's hard for us to understand it because we don't always see why. In fact, sometimes Yah doesn't even show us until way later or after the fact. And then we're like, oh, that's why. That's why. If you're waiting to step in your marriage and your spouse, okay, is still tied up with somebody else, your marriage isn't going to work. Yah needs to work on that person and get those loose ends tied up and get all of that resolved and taken care of. And sometimes those things take time. If there are other children involved, that's going to take time as well to get those things situated. If your spouse is not where they should be in their faith or healing, or they're not where they're at in terms of the career path that Yah wants them to take or the ministry of their calling, Yah is going to put those things on hold and get those things taken care of. Now, I have said that there are cases where there are certain healings and, faith walks and things like that, where all those things will come after the two of you have come together. It just depends. But you don't want to step into a marriage with somebody who, yes, it's your spouse. Yah has called this person to be your spouse. But if they're still tied up and in a huge mess with somebody else or something else, you want that to get taken care of first. Unless Yah decides to bring the two of you together, and then you're going to help that person get through that. That can happen too. My point is that if Yah hasn't brought it yet, it's for a reason. It's for a reason. Or again, it could be that he's waiting on us. We're the ones that are holding up the process. You see what I mean? Like, we're the ones that's holding it up. Because either we're in sin, we're not listening to him, we're being disobedient. We're the ones holding it up. And Yah's waiting for us to realize it so we can do what needs to be done so he can move on our behalf. But also the other thing too, brothers and sisters, that we need to surrender our desires to him. We need to let them go. If he's revealed certain things to you, say, okay, Yah, thank you for showing me. I will continue to pray about it, but I won't harp on it. I won't let it consume me, and I will surrender it to you. And when you do give me these things, be it a marriage, be it children, be it ministry, a career, or whatever, I will give them back to you because I trust you with them. Because I want to honor you with them. That was another thing that Yah had to teach me. That in anything, in every area of my life that Yah was going to work in and whatever he was going to give me, that I needed to honor him with all of that. I need to honor him with my marriage. I need to honor him with the way that I raise my children. I need to honor him with my ministry. I need to honor with how I am, the kind of wife that I am for my husband. You know what I mean? Like, I need to honor him. I need to glorify him with these things. And that won't always be easy. Are we always going to be successful at that? Probably not. We're all going to fall somewhere. Parenting is hard. Marriage is hard. Are we always going to be perfect spouses? No. Sometimes we're going to fail our spouses. Are we always going to be perfect parents? No. Sometimes we're going to fail our children. Because we're not perfect. But, as long as we're doing the very best that we can, and we're honoring Yah with everything we have, that's all we can do. But it's so important, brothers and sisters, that when we're in these seasons of waiting, that we surrender our desires, we surrender the promises, that we surrender whatever it is that Yah is bringing to us, or that he's shown us, or that he's called us to, that we surrender it back to him. And I know that that's hard. I know that that's hard. Believe me, I've been going through it for I don't even know how long now. It's hard. Brothers and sisters, and oftentimes blessings that Yah brings our way in the purposes, they're not going to always be easy. There's going to be challenges. You might have a Yah ordained marriage, but there will be challenges in your marriage. You will face challenges. Yah might bless you with a whole bunch of babies. there will be challenges sometimes raising each one of those babies. You know, Yah might bring you into an incredible ministry, but there's going to be challenges in those in that ministry. Or whatever career that, you know, and I'm talking mostly to men, you know, whatever career that Yah's put you in, there's going to be challenges. There's going to be hard work that needs to be done. It's all hard work. But it's all to glorify Yah. And it takes time, brothers and sisters. These things take time to bring together. Now, at the same time, Yah can do anything quickly. Nothing's impossible for him. He can make things happen overnight. You know, you could be someone that, you know, has waited 10 years for your marriage and bam, you're married within 6 months from the time you guys meet. You know, he can like recompense time. Maybe you've been waiting to have children for years and bam, all of a sudden you find out you're pregnant with triplets. You know, now you're going to have 3 babies at once. How's that for recompensing time? Now you're going to have 3 at once. Praise Yah. You know, you've been waiting years for ministry. All of a sudden, bam, it happens. You step into ministry and now everything's going full force within a matter of a month. Yah can accelerate things. He can accelerate. So even though you've been waiting a long time, believe me, when he says it's time, you're in that season. Remember I was talking about the different seasons in that episode? When you're in that right season and it's time and Yah says go, believe me, it's going to go. And it's going to sometimes happen so fast that you're going to be like, whoa, what just happened? Like my life just completely changed. And then other things are a process. For example, if you're somebody that is earning a higher education for a career, that takes time. That takes quite a few years, depending on what you're going for. But it's well worth it. You know, some things do take time, you know. And then once you've earned that degree or whatever it is you're going for, bam, your life has changed. Now you're in your career. Now you're at it full force. So to close this word, I know that it's hard waiting, and I know that it can be hard letting go and surrendering to Yah and trusting in him. But brothers and sisters, that's such a pivotal point of our relationships. Each one of our relationships, that has to happen. Because if not, then we can't really go any further. You know, it's like in your marriage. If your spouse tells you, I don't trust you, how do you think that's going to make you feel? You're going to be devastated. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, why don't you trust me? What did I do? Like, you should trust me. I love you and you love me. Like, why is there no trust? That's how it feels. It hurts Yah to know that you don't trust him and that you think he doesn't have the best for you and your best interests at heart. He does. And I know that sometimes that can be hard. And if you need a reminder, open the Bible. He loves us more than we can ever comprehend. You know, trust it's a vital part of every one of our relationships with the Father. We need to be able to surrender everything to him. There's a hymn I think it's called I Surrender All. It's really beautiful. I love that hymn. But we need to surrender all. And if we're in any sin, if we're in any we need to repent and we need to get out of that so we can move forward in the things that Yah has for us. Sometimes, again, like I said, we delay ourselves. We delay our process. Sometimes the Father is waiting on us. And he's like, I've been ready, but, I'm waiting on you. So, surrender it all. Pray always, read your scriptures, and trust that even when we don't feel like he's hearing us or when we don't feel like he's working on things, he is. We just always don't see it, and he doesn't have to show us. And sometimes it's best that he doesn't show what's going on behind the curtains. You know what I mean? Because if we kind of take a sneak peek, if we take a peek at what's going on behind the curtains, some of us might panic. Some of us might be like, oh my gosh, or get so excited that now it's consumed us and now we really don't want to wait, So there's a reason why he does things the way he does and without telling us. Because for most of us, myself included, I'm guilty with this. It's just better that I don't know. because if I do, I'm one of those that then I start analyzing and over-analyzing everything. But what if this happens? But what if this doesn't work? But wait, that doesn't make sense. Why would he do this? And it's just like, okay, now I've made things worse, So for some of us, especially me, it's just best that we don't know what's being worked on and what all is going on, So, if Yah is silent and he's not really revealing too much to you in the moment, believe me, it's for your own good. Okay. And I'm saying that to myself too. So anyways, I'm going to close on that note, y'all. I pray that this word has been a blessing and a source of encouragement. If you have any further questions or need prayer or, counsel, not yet, but if you need anything else, please email me and I'd be happy to talk with you on those things. All right, that is everything. Y'all have a blessed evening. Thank you so much for listening, and I will talk with you in my next episode. Shalom.